Hi everyone, welcome. We're going to hold off for a minute. I am in an event so that you all can, so that you can put me in. There I am. Well, there I am. Seems so dark up there. Hi Brenda, welcome. How are you today? So I'm in an event, so we're just going to hold off for a minute until Gia gets me put in. So up there seems so dark, but down here, I don't seem so dark. I don't know, maybe it's probably my eyes. So when you hop on, say hi. Do I need to refresh already? Thank you, Gia. Hi, everybody. This is Creative Crafters Ensemble Fresh Picks Market. I am Jenna with Apple Creations. Welcome when you hop on. Hi, Diane. When you hop on, say hi so I can welcome you. And thank you all for joining. This is a free group. If you're not a member, there is a link in the description at the top of my post so that you can join it. And Gia does a really nice job. So, Fresh Pick Market. I thought about this. I had no idea what I was going to do. So yesterday I came up with making a basket and putting watermelon in it. So this is Dropcloth. These are my watermelon shapes. And we're going to paint those with Waverly chalk paint. And this is crimson. So we're going to paint these and set them aside. So when I was bringing my watermelon home in the basket that we're going to make, I got ants. So we're going to make ants too. So we're just going to paint these up, do all red, and then set them aside. Now my canvas or my draw cloth is a little damp. I sprayed it with a little bit of water. That just helps the paint glide on smoother. And I'm also using a wet paintbrush. And that also helps the paint go a little bit faster, a little bit smoother. So for my rind, I am actually using fabric. Now drop cloth really soaks up the paint if you've painted it before, so we may have to touch this up after we get it dry. So I am weaving a basket with felt, and then we're putting it all on a brown shipping envelope. Lots of parts to this one. Hi Teresa, how are you? So that's what I'm doing. And since I moved here, I still have not found my gloves. So I'm just gonna have to go buy some more. And as soon as I buy them, those other ones, I have 3 boxes here somewhere, they're gonna show up. That happens every time I misplace something and go replace it. Now when you paint drop cloth, I don't know if you can see, it does curl. But we're going to glue it down, so it's going to be fine. So that's all of that color that we need. Hi Dorothy, how are you? Hi Kay. Hi Jody. Oh, you're driving. Pay attention to the road. So I took some cotton quilt batting and I coffee stained it. And I did this, is what my basket's going to be woven on. I didn't want any of the white to show through, and the fabric that I'm using is this. So I didn't want any of this showing through, just in case I don't get the weave really tight. So I'm using strips of felt, and I marked them so I knew which ones went where. Yesterday, everything was firing, so I got it all together. I'm good, Dorothy. Thank you. So these are the cross ones. And we're going to glue these all down, but we're going to weave them first. So these are the ones going across. And I'm going to use some pins to help hold this together. So you know it's over under. So I found going up and down is easier than going across. Whoops, I put that one in wrong. So as I get them in, I'm just going to stick a pin. I have a cutting mat or ironing mat underneath of this to help hold my pins, just so I can get all of these straight. So that was under, this is over. So I did this, I don't know how many times yesterday, because I kept thinking, what if I did this and what if I did that? And I changed this project, I don't know how many times yesterday. But this is just felt that I'm using. Oops, that's under. See, I lost track of where I was on this thing already. Good thing I'm not making a real basket, because it would be really wonky. Okay, take these out, and I'll hold this up so that you can see it. So I knew weaving this, it wasn't going to stay together on its own. That's why I did the quilt batting underneath. And we're just going to tack down all these edges. Just a little bit of glue. Because if we have to, we can trim this down also. So this way, when I'm moving it around, it doesn't come unwoven. Because I did that too yesterday. And then I picked it up and dropped it. And then I had to restart it. Okay, let's flip this over and do the other side. So just a tiny little dot under each loose end. So once all of these are glued, the center ones, they're just going to stay put. So there you go. Now I'm going to just tack it onto this quilt batting. Now my felt is just a hair bigger than the quilt batting. That way it doesn't show on the edges either. Let's just put a little bit there. There we go. So that's the base of our basket. Hi Debbie, how are you? Hi Kay. I am making just woven a basket with felt, and we painted some watermelon slices with just the red so far. And this is the Fresh Picks Market. So I have another piece of quilt batting that I also coffee stained, and I'm just putting that right at the top of the basket just to make the top look good. And then I have handles that we're going to put on it too. Which side do I want to use? The darker side. So when you do this cotton quilt batting, it does not stain consistently. You get a variation. So if you just keep putting it in the coffee, it will get a constant color, but I didn't want that. Oh, okay. So there we go. So I just have to trim this one side a little bit because it's uneven. Okay, there we go. So I made a handle too out of the quilt batting. Hi Darla, welcome. Did I miss anybody? And we're going to put that on, and I'm only tacking the very top. I'm letting the bottom be loose because we got to put our watermelon and our ants on here yet. So even in my crafts, I'm attacked by ants. And I don't know why they like our fireplace in this house, but they're coming in that way too. So I don't know how many last several houses. I've had pea ants like crazy. So I'm putting buttons there just to use as my rivets on this basket. Oh, you're welcome. I just used a piece of quilt batting and felt and just weaved it in and out. Hi, Deborah. You're going to have to try it. Well, good. Okay. So I have this piece of fabric, and I'm going to glue it onto my coffee stained shipping envelope, and I turned it inside out. These are a little hard to turn inside out, but one way. Yeah, I got a peppermint. It's natural. It's for little kids and pets, which we don't have either, but it's peppermint spray. It's for bugs. I got it off of Amazon, and I spray it all around the house at least once a week because I don't know why now that it's spring. Well, probably because we're having all this wet weather. They're just coming in. But if you take your envelopes and you keep wetting them and scrunching them as you're wetting them, they end up really, really flexible. You haven't had time to craft. So that's what we're putting our fabric on, right on the front. I just wanted something to highlight our basket because I didn't like it just like that. And this is coffee stained too. And I wanted it wrinkled. So when you turn these and you get them wet, You don't want them wrinkled like this, because this is really wrinkled. Iron it. But I left this all scrunched in a ball all night long. So, but I just kept working the coffee, wet the coffee into the bag and then turned it. So we're going to glue this down too. So I had, my guest bathroom smelled like coffee all day yesterday because I was doing all this stuff. When it's wet, if you take dry instant coffee and put over it, it gets a really worn look. Yeah, it does. I didn't think about that. Now that you mention it, I didn't even think about that. I just had this square of fabric, and I thought, well, I'll use that. So we're going to take our basket we just made and put on there. Not that this would really matter, but this little tiny piece is longer than the rest. And we're going to glue this on here. I'm not gluing the top until the very end. I'm just going to glue the 3 sides. Hi, Sharon. So up after me is Crafting Barefoot with Sharon. So I'm just going to hold this for a second. So in the 4 corners, I'm going to put buttons too, just to give it something else. That's what we have so far. So we're going to set this aside and bring back our watermelon. See how they curl up? So I cut 2 different pieces of fabric. One's the rind and whatever that's called between the rind and the watermelon, the fruit, that's what that other piece of fabric is. And we're going to have to dry that a little bit. Hi, Starlight. Welcome. Hi, Donna. Welcome. So at 5 is Crafting Barefoot with Sharon. At 6 is Gia's Creation. She is our host. And at 7 is the Wobbly Nipple. So if you can stay tuned and watch those creators, it would be nice. And if you get to see them on replay, please put hashtag replay in the comments so they know that you stopped by. Yes, Donna, I'm glad you made it. I'm trying not to get paint all over my hands. thing I like about painting drop cloth is it dries really fast. So let's take these off and put them on my paper here. So I have two different fabrics. This one is green with polka dots, and this is a green gingham check. And we're going to put these on our watermelon. So I thought about painting these stripes on, and I thought, that's a lot of painting. And I decided not to do that. So I went looking through my fabric stash and I found these. So we're just going to glue these on. And this is our rhyme. So I tell all my followers, don't throw your little scraps away, because that's all this is. Little scraps of drop cloth and little scraps of fabric. And I put my thing on a glue stick. And then I have this other one that I'm putting right on the top of it. And it's just green polka dots. Hi Mimi, welcome. So we have had rain for 5 straight days. Yesterday we had such a thunderstorm. I thought, oh, thank God the event wasn't yesterday. Hi Natalie, welcome. Oh, thank you, Natalie, for sprinkling. I appreciate that. So if you're a creator, please come on under your business page. And if you're not following somebody on here, please go follow them. And follow Gia's Creation. She is our host. And she does a really nice job. And Crafting Barefoot with Sharon. Follow her. Oops. Almost lost it. Well, I lost it a long time ago, but so we're moving right along here. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate that. So let me see which one these little ones are for this piece. I cut these to fit exact. Nope, that's the smallest one. There we go. And that one needs cut down just a little bit. There we go. So for our watermelon seeds, I am using puff paint. we got it fitted. The glue strings is what's making that roll. So we just have our watermelon slices. We're doing 4 of them. Thank you all for hopping on here. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. So let's get our last piece of fabric. And then we'll put our seeds on these. So this is sort of inspired from Pinterest, because my brain was not coming up with anything for Fresh Market. So there's our little one. Here's our big one. You see, I just put 2 fabrics on the bottom. So this is sort of inspired by them. So let's put our dots. You know, I'm going to do this after I get them glued on the basket, because otherwise I'll be wearing it. So let's get our basket over here, and let's assemble these. I think I want the big one up top, coming a little bit out of the basket. That'll work. It would. Yeah, small white lace would work. Yeah. So I don't want this under the handle. Nope, on top. I like using the drop cloth because it's not flimsy, and it holds up for something like this. But once you paint it, it all curls. The inside. There we go. Now we're going to glue the top of our basket. Okay, this is what we have so far. So for our hanger for our bag, I'm just going to fold it in a little bit. And I'm going to glue that down. Just here and there, just to hold it a little bit, but especially on the sides, because that's where we're putting our rope. Now when we're done this, we could coffee stain the whole thing again if we needed it. So I have this heavy rope and I knotted the ends, and I'm just going to, it's going to be a small hanger because the bag is so big. I'm just going to glue it right on the corners. So if you were going to put this on a door, I would clear coat the whole thing. I'm making you hungry. I haven't had any watermelon yet, and I've seen it in the store, but we just haven't bought any. So I'm going to do our little black dots for our seeds. I'm just making a dot and then dragging it. Yeah, we're all going to have to go out tomorrow and buy watermelon, aren't we? There we go. And I'm just making tiniest little dots and just dragging it. That way it'll give it the seed shape. So that's what we have so far. So my ants are made out of yo-yos. So each ant is 3 yo-yos. 2 bigger ones and 1 tiny one. The tiny one is its head. So we're going to build these and put them on here. And they're going to be glued on. And we're making their legs with embroidery floss. So on the back of the 2 yo-yos, I'm just going in and back out. So I have 2, and we'll cut this one, and we'll have 2 legs. So I'm doing each, the end and the middle is going to have 4 legs on it. So I'm doing it twice. So this will make sense once I put it together. And I'm doing that, we're putting 3 ants on here. So see their legs? And I'm doing that to the middle section of the ant too. And I'm not making a knot because once this is glued, it's not going to come undone. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the head for the antennas. So the antennas is going to be embroidery floss too. But these are legs. So I'm just going in and out on the head. So it has its 2 antennas. So these were 1-inch circles for the body and a 1/2 inch for the head. That one was hard to make. The smaller they go, the circle, the harder they are, at least for me to make. And we're just going to glue these on. And I'm just putting a tad of glue right above the legs so that the legs will stay on there. But the legs is just going to hang loose. So that's one of our ants. And we're doing 3. Oh, I was thinking I was running out of time. I got plenty of time. So when this is all done, I think I'm going to go back and shorten their legs, but at the moment, they're long. Oh, I just pulled that whole leg back out. Well, let's do that one again. So if I thought I'm being tortured by ants in my house, then my crafts can be tortured too. I haven't been on Pinterest in so long. I had to reset my password because I couldn't remember it. And I was kind of lost. It totally changed since the last time I was on there. So let's put one up, going up here. Let's do a little one for the head. Now I'm going to have to stop making these tiny little yo-yos because these are really hard on my hands. See, just 2 antennas. Oh, let's say I'm missing a yo-yo. But I counted 9 here to start with. Oh, I know, Kay. I almost went down it yesterday, but I was trying to figure out what to do with this. I was trying to come up with ideas. So I didn't go down it yesterday. I resisted. But yeah, you can totally get lost. I can get totally lost in any craft site. I wish there was things like this when I had my store. There was no Pinterest and internet and all that stuff. Get these glue strings off. one right here going up to that big watermelon slice. Hi Wanda, welcome. This is Creative Crafters Ensemble, and it is the Fresh Pick Market event. So I'm doing watermelon and ants in a basket. So there's the watermelon and there's the ants. So I'm going to give them a little dot of an eye with white puff paint. But I am using a toothpick so I don't get a big blotch. It seems like every time I want a tiny little dot, it squirts out a bunch. And I'm just giving them a little tiny eye. I wasn't even sure if this was any good because I haven't used puff paint in forever. But they make cute eyes. So there's that so far. Excuse me. I've been trying not to cough. So on the inside, and I'm going to turn it this way so I don't get my hands in that paint. I'm going to put some paper inside, on the bottom. And this is just packing paper. Hi, Andrew. What did he say? Well, that's good you didn't miss today. And this is just going to help hold the basket open. So it just gives it some body. Thank you, Teresa. So on top of that, I'm going to put Spanish moss. Well, I don't want to, I should have did this eyes last. Getting ahead of myself. I'm just going to put in a whole bunch of Spanish moss. And if anybody wants Spanish moss, I have fresh for sale. The only thing about the fresh, you have to leave the bags open because it does get moisture back in it, unlike the stuff that we've bought in the stores. But I've picked it, cleaned it, washed it, dried it. Because the front of the bag is so busy, I didn't want to put a bunch of flowers in the top, so I thought that I would just put greenery. What's your question, Andrew? Be nice. So I'm just going to cut some of this down and just put some of this in there. So I'm just going to put some sprigs. So if anybody has successfully grew this, let us know. Mine started coming up last year, but we lived by a lake and there were ducks and the ducks attacked it. So it didn't do anything, but there's several others that, oh good, I'm glad you're home. The others are trying to grow it right now, and I planted some more this year and it hasn't done anything yet. So if you know how to grow it, I've looked it up, but I did what it said. but mine has not sprouted, and it's been planted a couple of months. Thank you. So we're just going to, this way the flowers, I think, would take away from the basket on the front. Oh, that's good. So you're half hopeful. So I got my seeds from Etsy. So I don't know if that was the issue. I don't know. But that's where I bought this at too. But there is a ton of seeds in the bottom of this box from this batch. So I'm going to plant it again and see what happens. I know, they're so tiny. If you drop them, that's it. You'll never find them. They're smaller than a speck of dust. But there's a ton of seeds in the bottom of this one. So I'm thinking I'm going to take some and cold proof them. Hi, Barb. Cold proof them. Put them between pieces of paper, wet paper towel, stick it in the fridge for a couple days, and then plant them, because sometimes that's how some seeds will sprout. Let me see, does this need any more? A little bit. Oh, you in your wind. Yeah, you had some really bad wind. So we're supposed to have storms all the way through Monday. It's crazy. I'm okay with the rain, and I'm okay with thunder. I'm not okay with lightning. Andrew, be nice. So up after me is Crafting Barefoot with Sharon. And then Gia's Creations. And then the Wobbly Nickel. So just a short, fun event today. Oh, yeah, those seeds are microscopic. Yeah, there's no way. Even with tweezers, you could take one seed at a time and plant it. They're so tiny. But I just took mine and put it over top of a big flower pot. But they've been planted a couple of months and nothing yet. So there's what we've got so far. So that doesn't take away from what's going on down here. So on one of these, I'm going to take, if I remember where I put it, there it is. I have had a hard time finding sisal. Have any of you? Oh, there goes my box. So I found sisal rope, and this is in the automotive section at Walmart, and it's called tow rope. And I got, I think, 50 feet of it for like $5. But when you pull this apart, you just have sisal. So there's like 4 pieces wound together here, and then when you untwist each piece, then you've got more pieces. So I think this would be more economical than buying a bag of sisal. So I'm just going to make sort of a bow, a rag bow, and I'm going to put sisal in it. So it's called tow rope in the automotive section. I know he don't, Teresa. And so I'm trying it tonight. So I am all for saving a few bucks on crafting supplies or sewing supplies. So I'm just going to take these and I'm just going to knot them. So I'm not really doing a bow, I'm just doing a knot. And I'm going to glue it up in the corner. Cut all those and just pull it apart. So I got the fabric that we use, the homespun, and I have tobacco cloth strips that I'm using. Yeah, 50 feet. This is pretty big around, but when you start pulling it apart, there's a lot there. So I guess you could tow something with that rope. That's how heavy duty it is. So I'm going to put some of it in this bow. So let's glue this on. It will. So let's take a piece of this. And I'm going to fray both ends of it. Oh, it just came apart, so. No, don't throw them away, Donna. Throw them in a pot of soil and see. Okay, Kay. What are you fixing good for dinner? Tony grilled burgers on the grill. So see, even this piece is coming apart into two separate sections. So I like to use sisal in my real primitive Santa Clauses. So I'm just going to pull it. Yeah, it's sisal. It's just like what we buy. Jody's yelling at you for saying you're going to throw your sweet Annie seeds away. Just throw them in a pot of soil and see what happens. You might have luck where we're trying to grow it and we can't. So you just throwing it in a pot of soil might work. So I'm just pulling this all apart. Yep, it's just like the sisal that I was buying in a bag. Huh. So I got 50 feet of tons of this cheaper. So I'm just folding a piece of it in half. Right in the center, it's still bound together. And I'm putting it right in the middle of my bow, or the knot. Well, I had an enormous pot that had soil in it. You can start out with like a medium-sized pot. Mine wasn't. Mine last year was in this, well, part sun. But the ducks seemed to think it was theirs. The ducks there thought, hey, Andrew, that is enough. I will block you. A big pot. So I just put a button in the center of that. But see, that is just like the sisal that I was buying in a bag. Yours are in a direct sun. Mine was sitting by the house, so it got a lot of morning sun and then it got afternoon shade. But it got mostly sun through the morning and afternoon. So the ones I planted this year were sitting out in the middle of the yard. So that got full sun. But that turned out pretty cute. If I do say so myself. Thank you. So I thought I had baby sunflowers, but mine are, the heads on them are like this. Baby sunflowers would be nice in this. Yeah, Donna, I'm going to have to also. Thank you, Barb. So, up next after me is Crafting Barefoot with Sharon. And then at 6 is Gia's Creation. She's our host. And 7 is the wobbly, yeah, it would. The wobbly nickel. Yeah. So mine this year didn't do anything. Last year they started to grow, but I'm not sure. They have an odor to them. So I'm not sure why the ducks were attracted to that, because I spoiled those ducks and they were pretty persnickety. They even, Tony changed food on them and they didn't like it. So, but there you go. So, give you a close-up of the ants. They're made out of yo-yos. So their little legs are just hanging there. I forgot the Vaseline for the tip of my glue tool again. So we've got strings everywhere. So no, Donna, direct sun won't hurt them. Thank you, I appreciate it. So this is my fresh pick market. I went to buy watermelon and I came home with ants. Thank you. Thank you. So all it is an Amazon mailing pouch and some scrap fabric. Thank you, Donna. I'm glad you like it. So we still have a few minutes. Well, I kind of covered up my buttons in the centers. So I don't know if it needs more buttons or not. Let's see. I can just sit them there to see what they look like. No. Here? No. Nope. No more buttons. Me, I never know when to end a project because I always think I can add more. I am not a simplistic person. I always want more. Glue that down. Thank you, Donna. Thanks, Mimi. So just don't throw your scraps away. This was all done with scraps except for the rope. That's the only thing that's new. The bag's a throwaway. The brown packing paper's a throwaway. Of course, I don't throw it away because I'm saving it till I get enough to make a wreath. So we're going to do that one day. We're going to make a wreath out of brown packing paper. I know, right? When do you actually end a project? Just keep adding. So if you wanted, you could spray the whole thing down with coffee. And when the bag is wet with coffee, you can add instant coffee granules, and then it'll make it look more aged. So God bless all of you. Thank you for hopping on and staying with me. And go watch Sharon with Crafting Barefoot with Sharon. She always does something really nice. So this is my market pick. Watermelon and ants. You have fruit, you have ants. Or you have fruit flies, right? I wasn't sure how to make a fruit fly. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate it. God bless you. Go watch Sharon. I'll join you over there.